Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I know I usually don't stream on Wednesdays, but I am starting a series, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, about trying to stream from here and all the way through through the start of the school year and to the end of October is really my intent. But it's so great to be able to spend time with you. Yeah, and like I said, it's not my usual day, and I don't usually wear glasses, but I thought I make an exception today and wear some glasses. But I hope that you're well. It's a beautiful day out where I live. I live on the west coast of the United States, so it's beautiful out, very hot where I live. So would love to hear about you and where you're from. I like to make these streams inclusive by making sure that everybody can participate. You don't have to be, you don't have to ask like a deep technical question or anything else. You don't have to be embarrassed about being new to data science. So feel free to just let me know your city, state, and country where you're from. I always love hearing from where different people are checking in from. And yeah, we'll just spend some time together here, see if there's anybody with questions. You guys never fail to have great questions, so feel free to join in. I'm already starting to see some chats over on the side, which is great. And also you can see my book here, your first year in data science. It's a book that I wrote based on the conversations that I've had with a lot of you about how to go from academic study into the real world of data science, and it's available on Amazon. So thank you so much for your support. But yeah, I'm already starting to see people checking in, and yeah, lots of great questions already. So great. I see people saying they're here as a beginner. That's totally okay. You don't have to be advanced to participate in these streams, although we do get some people that are maybe a little further along in their journey. But yeah, I'm going to be here for the next hour and a half or so, and look forward to hearing where you're from. So already having some check-ins, so let's go ahead and get right to it. I'm going to come back to the questions. I'm going to do the check-ins first. Himsteak, my good friend, how are you? Hi, Dennis. Love the glasses. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I alternate. I personally prefer wearing contacts. I think contacts are better. But yeah, every once in a while, I will wear the glasses just for fun. It was fun. A couple weeks back, we had the vote on. I put a vote up on one of the Instagram stories. The vote between the glasses and not glasses was a lot closer than I had given that credit for. I think the difference only came down to like 4 votes with more than 70 people voting. So that's quite significant. But yeah, I thought I'd try the steaks today. I thought I'd try the glasses today. But it's good to see you, Himsteak. Glad you're here. Hey Dennis, I am Sai Teja. I'm from India. Well, welcome, Sai Teja. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know we've had, I know you've had put some comments up on my Instagram, so glad to see you here. Thank you for your support. Hope you're well. Also adds, I am here as a beginner. That's okay. That's totally okay. Let's keep on going. Again, give me check-ins first, guys, and then I promise I'll come back to answer questions. Hi, Uzair from Cleveland, Ohio. Love what you're doing, and I have a few questions at the beginning. Well, welcome, Uzair. Nice to see you. Hope things are well in Cleveland. I imagine that they are hot, just as most parts of the U.S. are very warm right now and will remain warm through August, so I hope you're doing well. But yeah, let me finish the check-ins, and then feel free to post your questions, okay? Vikash011, good to see you again, my friend. Hi, Dennis, data analyst from India. Well, welcome. Good to see you. Rajesh, hey Dennis, you are the best. I don't know about that. I'm just sharing my experiences and just doing what I can to share my passion of data science. All right, I'm gonna come back to questions. Yoshin, hello Dennis, really love your content. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yoshin, let us know where you're from. We're doing our global check-in right now. Mr. Arshad says, I'm Arshad from Pakistan. Well, welcome, Arshad. Hope you're well. I gotta imagine that Pakistan is super hot right now. But yeah, hope you're well. We get a couple of viewers from Pakistan, so hope you're well, my friend. Haimir, I see your question, but let us know where you're from. I want to do my global check-ins first, and then we'll see and then we'll come back to the questions. Okay? Okay, Nisha, I see your question, but let me see. Are there any? I guess that's all it for the global check-ins for now, and that's okay. If you come in later, or if you joined us a little bit late, we always like to hear where people are from. So let us know your city, state, country, just to kind of build a little bit more of the community. But gosh, the questions are coming in fast today, huh? All right, so let's go to questions. So Arshad, I see you actually had a question even before the stream started. Thanks for teaching us. If we get if we get you daily, would this help us in future for getting job, please? And I think you also had a follow-up. How are the daily watch you and support you, please? Will need certification from you. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by a certification, but I personally am not a source of data science jobs. That's not really my purpose of why I put content out. My intent of putting content out is to, one, give you a real world view into how data science is actually done. Two, to provide a little bit of education out there via the live classes that I run. I don't do pre-recorded instructional content, but I do live instructional content. And three, my overall intent is to add to the conversation treating data science as a serious profession. Data science is not just a job. It's not just something you're doing to get remote work or to get a high-paying job or things along those lines. Data science is very serious work, right? You know, as I like to tell people sometimes, you know, we work at predicting the future. So people put their trust and their reliance on us, on the results that we give them, on the insights and the work that we bring to the table. So really, my intent here is not to provide jobs, but to hopefully better prepare people for the industry. I've had a long career in technology. I've had a long career in data science. So the reason I do this is to kind of take the time to build the next generation of data scientists and improve the profession that way, right? So that's really my intent here. So I would hope that, you know, you in turn would join with the intent of wanting to become a data science professional. You know, I always tell people that being in data science is kind of like being a doctor or a lawyer. You know, nobody becomes a lawyer by mistake or a doctor by mistake. You end up in those professions because you like what it does. You're bringing your study and your mastery to it, right? It's something that is also kind of dependent on your reputation. You know, just like you can have a bad reputation as a doctor, you can definitely have a bad reputation as a data scientist too, right? So those are the types of things that I try to bring during these live streams. So, like I said, Arshad, I'm not a direct source for jobs, but hopefully the things you learn here and you know, maybe use these live streams and what I provide as a foundation for you to go out and do research on your own. That will bring you more into the industry, and that will better prepare you for those interviews. You know, the more prepared you are, one, it comes across in interviews, and two, it makes the interviews a lot easier, right? And then also, you know, as I've mentioned before, don't just prepare for the interview. You got to prepare for the job, because what happens if they hire you? Now you got to go in there and do the job. So let's keep that all in mind, right? Because you know, again, this is a serious profession. So I hope that gives you an answer there, Arshad. All right, so let me go down to the next questions. If you're joining me a little late, feel free to introduce yourself, but what city and country that you're from. Love to hear about it. So Saiteja says, I'm a full stack developer. Okay, cool. What languages or what language do you specialize in? And are you front end or back end? I mean, I think that's still a valid distinction to make for developers, right? So let me know more about that. Jaimir, did you end up telling us where you're from? Okay. Uh, so Jaimir is actually Jeremiah from Singapore. Okay, so you're writing it backwards. Nice, I get it. Hey, speaking of Singapore, I'm going to be doing some streams coming up, or I'm going to be doing them at evening my time, which I believe is more convenient for most of Asia. I think right now it's pretty late on your end for Singapore. So thanks for joining us. Okay, so I just graduated as a pure math major. How long do you think I would need to take to learn so I could apply for a job in data science? Why do you want to apply for a job in data science? You know, that's usually one of the things I'm always curious about, because if you have a math degree, you're probably primed for a lot of jobs. So why data science? It seemed, you know, on the one hand, you're ready for it, but on the other hand, it's still like quite a departure from what you actually studied, especially if you're straight out of school, right? Like, you could be asking me like how long it would take for you to apply for a job in a physics lab or something, right? Like, math and physics would be just a reasonable transition as math and data science. You know, maybe physics would be a little harder. Or maybe data science would be a little harder. I don't know. But Jeremiah, help me understand some of your motivations there, because it's such a departure, right? So let me know kind of why you're looking at that, okay? Would love to hear more. And if you provide more in the chat, I'll promise to try to give you a more comprehensive answer. Hi, Dennis. I have an interview tomorrow as an RPA analyst where I work to improve processes. And I want a advice on how I can ace the interview. Okay, so remember, we're not trying to crack interviews or hack the interviews, right? Because what you're ultimately trying to do is you're trying to get hired. So don't think of it as just I'm trying to. Excuse me, I said that wrong. You're not trying to crack the interview, or you're not trying to just get hired. You're trying to become a professional in the field, right? I mean, RPA is very much a growing field, has people who have dedicated their lives to RPA, right? There's a lot of software for it now and things along those lines. So let's try to not think of it as just acing the interview. It's becoming an RPA professional. So I only know a little bit about RPA, so I want to try to limit my comments because I like to try to stay in my lane for the things that I do know. But for RPA, your focus should be on learning one of the packages that are out there and then mastering that package as much as you can. You know, some of the bigger names skip me right now, but you should try to dedicate yourself to a particular framework and then, you know, go from there. Now, my understanding is that most frameworks are still going to require you to have some programming on your end, right? You might have to write some custom Python code or even a whole custom Python application for something unique that is coming up in one of your RPA projects, right? I mean, RPA tends to kind of always have these little twists and turns that you have to do custom code for, right? So I mean, that's what I would focus on, just learning a package. And then also, RPA requires a lot of creativity. I mean, I've done some RPA projects, one of them that I really can't talk a lot about, but sometimes it requires, you know, you doing a lot of creative work as far as how you accomplish the goals that the RPA workflow wants to do, right? So that's what I would encourage you, Nisha, to think about a package that's out there and master that package, right? Dedicate yourself to it. But also be ready to write custom Python code as different things come up. I think it's Rajesh. Rajesh says, I want to be a MLE. Right now, I have completed ML, DL, CV, NLP. What more should I learn to be an MLE? Well, what interests you the most? I think you need to make a decision on what interests you, and I'm a little curious about your mention of some of these. Because I'm gonna assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here. I'm gonna assume that by CV you're talking about computer vision, and NLP is obviously natural language processing. Those are two very, very big fields, right? So like, how deep did you get into these explorations of them? Because NLP can take like a lifetime to master. Same thing for computer vision, right? I mean, the computer vision libraries that are out there are super massive, right? Like it would take you like 10 years to learn how to use some of those APIs, at least in a deep, proper way, right? So how deep did you get into those studies? It just seems a little interesting, that you would mention both of those. And then when you say you completed machine learning, well, help me understand that. So yeah, Rajesh, give me some more detail there. But ultimately, it's up to you, like what you're interested in, right? Because like computer vision and NLP are two completely separate fields, two completely unique fields, right? I mean, NLP will take you a lifetime to finish out, especially when you're starting to look at all the work that's happening with the generative side, but then also there's a lot of work still to be done with foreign languages and things like that. So, let me know, a little bit more detail, but ultimately it's up to you and what interests you the most. Okay? Yoshin says, I'm from Morocco, but currently studying in the U.S. Oh, well, wonderful. Welcome. I've spent a little bit of time in Morocco. It's a beautiful country, so glad to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Michael Butler says, hi, Michael here from Cyprus. Nice. Very cool. I think you might be our first viewer from Cyprus. I don't recall somebody from Cyprus before, but glad you're here. And Nisha says that they are from India, but they are in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, Nisha, that's cool. I mean, are you a student there, or what brought you to Kansas City? That's quite a distance from India. Brohan V1 says, hi, Dennis. Rohan from Vizag, India. Welcome. Where's Vizag? I don't know that. I know a little bit about India geography, but Vizag, I can't recall that. Let me know. And by the way, guys, if you're joining us late, that's totally okay. We're doing our global roll call where I ask people to let me know the city, state, country they're from. That way everybody can participate. You don't have to ask a data science question. We get plenty of people that just want to, listen along and learn a little bit. Maybe you're just data curious, and that's okay. But at least introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. So Arshad continues. Thank you, sir. I have learned SQL and further learning more skills to get entry-level job or internship on support, please. Okay. You're talking about working like a tech support job, starting as tech support. And it says you've also learned SQL. Learning SQL is a great start. I think a lot of people started their tech careers by learning SQL. For those of you that want to learn more about it, there is a book out there called The Practical SQL Handbook. It's the book that I learned from, and it's been around forever. I mean, that book's been around for at least 20 years, maybe more like 25 years. It's been around for a long time. But it's a very good book. Teaches you SQL in a very straightforward way. So if you'd like to be like Arshad and learn more about SQL and use that as kind of like your first language to get you into the tech world, I think that's a great start. So Arshad, if you're trying to target tech support jobs, which I think is what you're trying to say, I think that's a pretty good way about it. Working tech support is how I got through college. When I was in college, I needed a job to help pay for college. So I worked a tech support desk at a dial-up internet service provider, dial-up ISP. And this is all in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So very early start of the, or a more early start of the internet. But working in tech support is a good way to get you talking to people, get you working around technical teams, get you working with some technical terms. So if that's what you're targeting, I think you're on the right track. Deb Joseph says, hey Dennis, how to break into quant jobs as a data analyst or data scientist as a junior engineer? It depends. It depends on where you're targeting, and it depends a lot on your background also. So one of the ways that I see that there's a lot of ways to answer this, and the reason why it's difficult to answer this is because there is no single way that all companies run their quant teams. That's why I'm having trouble with this answer, because quant teams are really kind of like customized to however that individual company and firm runs, right? I'll tell you this. It's not an easy transition to come in from the outside. The people that I have seen have success going into quant roles are usually coming from other positions within the same company. You would be working for like a finance company that has a hire from within policy, right? Where you could do like an internal transfer or something like that. That is significantly easier to land than coming in from the outside, especially if you're, I'm going to assume that you mean that you're kind of earlier in your career, right? You're a junior engineer, you're still in those junior roles. To come in from the outside and to step into a quant role at a company, super difficult, right? That's not a high probability path to follow. But if you want to start off as a junior engineer, work your way up within the company, get yourself maybe assisting some of the quants that are there, that is a little bit more reasonable path than to come in from the outside. So if I was in your position, I wouldn't want to target quant roles from the beginning. You should probably start targeting something else with the intent of dedicating yourself to it for 3 to 5 years, and then working your way up into a more of a quant-oriented role. But otherwise, I think it's extremely difficult to do it from the outside. Even if you told me you had a PhD, I would still tell you that it's difficult to come in from the outside and do it. So, and also, you got to keep realize that the quant space is constantly changing, right? You could make the argument that right now there's probably less quants than there's been before, right? I mean, not that field is dying out or anything. But yes, just something to think about there for you, Joseph. Okay. So Yoshin asks, I was wondering what companies, industries where data science really expertise shine. All of them. All of them. That's one of the beauties of data science, right? That it's a flexible field that fits a lot of industries. Right? Especially right now where you kind of have the spectrum of companies that are very bought into using data science, and there's other companies on the other end that they haven't done any investment into data science, but they're clearly curious and they clearly know that they need it, right? So so between both of those extremes, you have companies in between, right? So really, it's all about what interests you and what companies you kind of want to explore. But I think that all companies and industries have opportunities for you to work as a data scientist, right? And this is one of the things we covered in the Sunday course. So for those of you who don't know, on Sundays I'm running a live course that covers. Give me just a second. That covers this book. We're going through this book chapter by chapter. We've already done chapters 1 through 3. This weekend we're doing chapter 4, and then going from there. And that's one of the things that the authors talk about. The authors say, hey, we have presented some good models here, but these are not all the models. We have chosen the models that we think are most applicable to most industries, because all industries can use data science. And again, that's not me saying that. That's the authors of this book saying that. And I agree, right? And I agree that, you should learn as many models as you can, because they're applicable to any number of situations or industries out there. So yeah, I mean, Yoshin, I don't think there's any individual industry that's like more ahead than the others. There's all different types of applications that just you're applying the same models, the same fundamental skills that you have as a data scientist to that company's or that industry's like specialized problems or individual problems, right? But the skills and the fundamentals and the methodology and the rationale that you're going to use are still going to be the same no matter what you're working in. So I think there's opportunities everywhere. And also, I mean, you mentioned you're from Morocco. You know, Morocco is a developing country with, you know, growing economic footprint. So there's a lot of ways that companies within different countries out there can use data science in any number of ways. Okay? So I hope that helps. Okay, so just going on the list here, guys. I promise that I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can. But if you're shy or not really advanced in data science, you can just tell us where you're from. That's totally okay. Uzair says, I am very new to data science, machine learning. I'm more interested in the machine learning side of data science. I have decent ability in Python. Ooh, that's saying a lot. Be careful. Started learning pandas recently. And I plan to learn NumPy, Matplotlib, and scikit-learn. Do you think that's a good start, or do you suggest a different way? I think that's a very good start. I guess a couple things are jumping out at me. You said that you're interested in the machine learning side of data science. Yeah, okay. You know, come to think of it, now that I think about your statement a little bit more, yeah, I think you're on the right track with that, because I encourage people to think of data science as the bigger umbrella to everything that's out there, everything that's algorithm related out there. And then machine learning is one subset of that, right? So I'm curious to know how you landed specifically on machine learning, because there are other subsets that you could be dedicating yourself to, right? So I hope you've taken the time to do that exploration to understand exactly what falls under data science and then focus in on machine learning. I have decent ability in Python. You know, that's always tough to say, because there's some people out there that are really, really, really good with Python. So I had, for some reason, I had maybe like a year ago, I had a weekend where all these shorts started showing up on YouTube from people who post like their Python challenges online, like, you know, like on YouTube. And I was like shocked, because I've been doing Python for years. And I think, you know, I'm pretty good. I'll put up my skills against anybody out there. But there are some people out there who just like really know Python. Like they're experts with contractions and the Lambda functions and things like that. So be careful saying that you're pretty good at Python, because somebody else will show you different. But yeah, but the other items that you mentioned, scikit-learn, NumPy, all that, I think it's totally reasonable for you to continue with that. Lots to learn in those, right? I mean, NumPy tells you a lot. Scikit-learn also can teach you a lot. But you know, don't forget to also throw in some of the methodology, and I cover that in my book. You know, your first year in data science, where I present some of the methodology that you're going to need in data science, right? And I present this for two reasons. One, it's not really taught in a lot of programs. And two, methodology is something that's super important, because it defines the scientific method, but it also helps you understand and explain in those scenarios where your algorithm doesn't work as desired, right? Where you have a failure in your algorithm. Because you can have failures in your algorithms, and by the way, you will have failures in your algorithm. That's just the nature of it. And that's okay, as long as you had a solid methodology behind it, right? Because the methodology is really what data science is. Data science isn't an answer or an algorithm, it's a process. So Uzair, for somebody like you who's still early in your journey, I would encourage you to think more about the methodology and the process that you're going to use for data science. The reason I say that is because you're starting with Python and all these libraries, which is great, but those are just tools, right? It's not just about, you know, getting a bunch of tools and acquiring a bunch of tools. It's about how do you use them, right? So make sure you're balancing out your studies also with understanding what data science is and how you go about using those tools, right? Because scikit-learn is great, but scikit-learn is not going to write code for you. It's going to, you know, you still need to guide it, right? So make sure you also take the time to do that, okay? Abdul Rahman, I believe. Abdul Rahman Iqbal says, "Sir, I'm your early days follower." Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I really enjoy your content. I am from Pakistan. In your previous video, you said nobody should learn Java. Can you explain this, sir? Okay. All right. So, for those of you who perhaps have not seen this video that I did on Instagram and on YouTube, it's one of my most popular postings on Instagram. I asked the question, this is an actual interview question that I ask of my candidates, and I've run hundreds of interviews in my career. I've seen thousands of resumes at this point. I always ask people, Java is one of the most popular languages in the world. It's all around you, right? It's in your car, it's in your gas pumps, it's in elevators, it's in your microwave. Java runs the world. But you never hear about Java being used for data science. Why are languages like Python and R more useful or more popular for data science? Okay? So I'm going to let the chat sit with that for a little while. Give me your answers in the chat. Go ahead and type in your answers. But there is a reason why I asked that question. There's reasons why Java is not used in data science. So Abdul Rahman, coming back to your question, and we've seen this from some of the other questions. I believe Uzair was asking. So there are reasons why I would advise Uzair to use Python and not Java. And most of you here are asking questions about Python. Some of you ask questions about R. So why? Why is that, right? Now, let me preempt some of the answers that some of you might already be typing, but I would love to hear your answers. But the most common answer I hear is, well, Python is just more easier to use. The syntax is easier to use, things along those lines, right? And that's true, but that didn't happen by mistake. I mean, Python didn't just fall out of the sky one day. It was designed to be that way, right? So tell me about that. Tell me about why Java is not popular for data science and why Python is, all right? And then once we do that, Abdul Rahman, I'll give you some of the answers and my logic behind it. But yeah, I mean, if you are new to data science, you're kind of starting to build your career, Java is probably the least helpful language that you can learn. There's a variety of other languages that you should be learning ahead of that. Okay? But like I said in the chat, this is something for you guys to give me your answers on. So give me some feedback here. I want to hear your answer on why Java is not nearly as popular for data science that's Python, right? Because Java is everywhere else. I mean, there's probably like 10 things on your desk or in your life right now that use Java, right? Java is extremely popular, right? Used in a lot of things, but not data science. So why is that? So I look forward to your answers, chat. Hi, Dennis. It's Omnia from Egypt. Welcome, Omnia. Glad you're here. I aim to know if I want to be a data scientist, do I have to be aware of data analysis and data engineering tools? Yeah, sure. Why not? Two things come to mind here. Being a data analyst or a data engineer is an excellent way to get your first, get an entry into a data science team, right? You're going to find a lot more data analyst jobs than you are data scientist jobs, right? So yeah, so I think it's good to know those because if you're just starting out, it's a great way to get yourself onto a team and then work your way into a more dedicated data scientist role. So for that, I think it's good. And the second reason I would tell you that, Omnia, is because you got to remember, guys, data science teams, for the most part, are still pretty small in most organizations. It's going to be rare when you walk into like a 10-person team or a 20-person team. That doesn't really happen outside of Meta and Google, basically. And that's it, right? Outside of that, you're going to be working on smaller teams. So they might hire you as a data scientist or even as a data engineer, whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean like that's only the things that you're going to be assigned or that's only what you're going to work on. They might bring you on as a data scientist, but then they'll also tell you, well, you have to go out and get the data on your own. Okay, well, great. Now you're doing the job of a data engineer too, right? So don't I would encourage all of you to not get so locked into the titles and the roles, because you're going to be doing a lot of stuff anyways, right? Most teams are still going to be 4 or 6 people maybe, right? Or you're going to be working in a big organization, but within your division, within your particular focus group, your individual data science team is still going to be pretty small. There's going to be other data science teams in the company, but your individual team is still probably going to be very small, right? So I think it's good for you to have that background and those skills, because you're going to need them anyways. I mean, I'm many years into my career, but I'm still doing my own data, my own data wrangling and my own data quality checks and things like that, right? So keep that in mind, okay? That don't get so caught up in what you're going to be doing at each role, because the teams are really small. They're going to want you to be flexible and be able to, kind of shift gears in that way, okay? But great question, Amya. Thank you for the question. Rajesh says, responding to Amya, also saying yes. Well, great. I'm sorry, the name is coming up really small on my end, but is it Ana Al Arabia? Ana Al Arabia? Will this be listed somewhere else too, like a YouTube video? Yes. So I save all of my live streams and my live classes on YouTube. So as soon as this finishes, I believe YouTube does post it. So you are welcome to go there and watch the replays. A lot of people like to watch the replays of the live classes that I do, because those tend to be a little bit longer. So maybe you miss portions of it or whatnot, or you want to go back and take notes. But yeah, you are welcome to visit the my YouTube channel, Data Science with Dennis, and you're going to find all my live streams, all my content up there. I go ahead and have YouTube save it for you guys to look at in the future. So you're welcome to view it there. And the reason I do that too is because as I've said before, I have zero interest in doing pre-recorded data science instructional content. That's so boring to me, and I don't like to do things that don't interest me. So I do the live classes, and then that recording essentially becomes my pre-recorded instructional content. That's really the only way I'm going to do it. So yeah, it's definitely up there. I save it up there. I'll never delete those files, and you guys are welcome to look at them anytime you want. Nisha, referring to her previous question, says, "Thank you, appreciate the approach." You're welcome, Nisha, and good luck with your interview. But I wish you even bigger luck in your career, because ultimately you're trying to build a career, not just ace an interview. So I wish you luck with that. Srinad AJ777, your name looks familiar. I think I've seen you in the chats before, so welcome. And if you're joining us, feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself. But thank you, Srinad. Nice to see you. So before I go on to the other questions, because I think we're getting great questions, I want to show you guys very quickly. This is a new Discord channel that I just launched earlier this week, and I'm posting some of the little previews of different things that I'm working on. So this morning I posted a preview to the items that I want to cover in this Sunday's class. So this Sunday, I'm going to be teaching the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. We're going to be covering categorization. And we had a really great turnout last Sunday. Lots of really good questions. I teach in the Socratic method, so I ask for feedback. I'll throw out questions for you guys to think about, and really good answers coming back. And I put all this up on the Discord as a little bit of a preview. So if you're interested in joining on Discord, you can see we already have 27 members, which is great. I'm relying on Himstake, who you see in the chats today, to be one of the moderators. So he's going to provide some really good moderation so that we don't get any spam messages. I like to keep everything, spam free and running well for all of us. But if you guys are interested in joining us on Discord, I'm putting up materials there. We're having some really good conversations. This morning somebody posted about how they're trying to get their portfolio started. So if you're interested in joining us on Discord, please do so. Add your questions, add your project ideas, anything you're working on, and let's have the community help each other. I'm going to help as much as I can, but I also like seeing everybody kind of helping each other out, and I'll contribute where I can. But yeah, come join us on Discord, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a good resource. All right, so going back to questions. Jeremiah, I think as a follow-up, says, I guess I realize that academia is not really what I want to go after, doing a bit of research, so I'm exploring my options. Okay, good, good. Yeah, so to remind everybody, Jeremiah did say, sorry, let me switch back to my other camera. Yeah, Jeremiah was talking about having a math degree, but wanting to go into data science. So Jeremiah, this is also a good time to remind everybody that I have a video on YouTube. It's called the Data Science Roadmap for Students. It's one of the very first videos I did, and it helps students figure out how to get into data science. So Jeremiah, this would still be applicable to you because I also created it for somebody who's still early in their career. You know, maybe they went into software engineering but want to do something else. So I recommend that resource for you. You can find it on my YouTube, Data Science Roadmap for Students. And one of the first things I recommend in that roadmap is to read a book called Mastery by Robert Greene. It sounds like it might benefit you. It's a book that helped me tremendously. It's basically a book that advocates you trying to find what you want to dedicate your life to, and then making that your life's mastery, because the book also recognizes that building a mastery and becoming good at what you want to do takes time. So you need to invest the time, so the earlier you start, the better off you can be, right? So it sounds like that book might be beneficial to you to maybe take some time for self-reflection and to think about what it is that you really want to do. Especially if you're saying that you're still kind of, in an exploratory phase, it sounds like you might have other interests beyond data science, and that's totally okay. But that's really what I would recommend to you, Jeremiah, to kind of just take a step back and say, well, what is it that I really want to do? What do I really want to dedicate myself and become passionate about? Not just seeking a job or a paycheck, right? That's what I did, and that's what that book kind of that's the process that book kind of helped me through. So that's what I would recommend to you, because it sounds like you might benefit from just kind of taking that time to figure out what it is that you want to do and dedicate yourself to it. Okay, but thanks for the questions, Jeremiah. Deadlord says, hi, Dennis. I'm from Colombia. I'm interested in data engineering. Well, cool. Welcome. Colombia is a country that I've been to. Beautiful country. I would love to go back. I was there many years ago. I was there like in 2009, something like that. I spent Christmas 2009 in Colombia. Beautiful country, but glad you're here. And if you want to get started in data engineering, you're in the right place. We have all kinds of data science discussion, and as I mentioned, data engineering is still part of your job even when you are a full-fledged data scientist, right? So if you're still new, starting out, hang out with us, join the Discord, come to some of the classes, and that way you can kind of start familiarizing yourself with some of the books and some of the better resources that are out there. But welcome. All right, let me keep on going here. I'm seeing a couple of duplicate messages, so I'm trying to scroll down a little bit so I can get to some of the questions. Yogendra Yada says, sir, I am from India and I want to learn about some skills to work online. Can you suggest me? To work online, I'm assuming you mean like for remote jobs? So Yogendra, this is really hard for me to answer because it's really all about your skills, right? It's all about what you're interested in. So, it's not about just getting a job or passing an interview. It's about what interests you and what you'd be good at, right? What is it that you want to dedicate your time to, right? So Yogendra, I really can't answer this for you. I think it's something that you would have to define for what you want to do with your life and your time and things along those lines, okay? Okay, Yogendra, I see a couple more of your messages. Guys, please try to not spam the chat. It's a little bit of annoying when I see that happen. We try to keep a professional approach here. I promise that I will get to your questions. I may not get to it as soon as you post it online because, there are other people and I do get people from multiple platforms. But, if you post a question and you see it appear, I promise you that I also see it on my screen because I use a different view on my screen that helps me get all the questions. But please don't spam the questions. Let's keep a professional attitude, okay? Palki Gairola? Palki, I think I remember you from before. Did you come to the class on Sunday? I think I saw you there, Palki. Or maybe I'm wrong. But good to see you again. Confused between becoming ML engineer or data scientist as I am seeing AI ML engineer job more. There's really not a lot. There's really no difference there, Palki. You shouldn't think of those as two separate roles. Data science is the umbrella for all the roles, and then ML engineer is just one of them, right? Or working in AI is another one. But there really is no inherent difference between being a data scientist versus being an ML engineer. So if you feel like you're seeing AI, you're seeing like a data scientist job that you don't want to apply for because you want to do machine learning, I would still say you should apply because you are going to be doing machine learning. It's a subset. It's an umbrella, right? Yeah. So feel free to still apply. You know, it's still the same technologies. It's still the same approach, right? It's just a different type of problem or a different type of solution that you're trying to get to. Okay. And, you know, I think that if you were to take the time to think about data science as a practice, as a methodology, as a process, you'll start to see that more and more, right? Because when you're mentioning machine learning or AI or Python or scikit-learn or whatever, those are all just tools, right? You're to me, to my ear, you're listing off a bunch of tools, not skills. The skill is in knowing how to use those tools, knowing how to properly carry out the development and execution of an algorithm, right? I don't care what the algorithm is. It could be neural networks. It could be regression. It could be image recognition. Who cares? I want to know about the process that you're following, the methodology. That's data science, right? Then you're doing data science. But, you know, it's not about, well, these are the Python libraries I know. It's more about how do you put them all together. Or, you know, if you want to kind of think of it another way, right? It's kind of like being like a car mechanic. You can walk into a car mechanic's job and see that he has all the nice big toolboxes, you know, with the shiny wrenches and all that. And that's great. You need wrenches and you need those tools. But I'm more interested in, does the guy know how to actually use them on my car, right? Or is he going to wreck my car? Because you can use those tools in an incorrect way, right? So think about those distinctions, okay? Vikash011 says, what are the most important skills to master for a successful career in data science? You mentioned the word career, so I'm going to assume that you're talking about something you're going to be doing long term, that you're going to be dedicating your life to. So with that assumption, you're going to get an answer from me that you probably don't expect. And if you really want a long, successful career in data science, the answer to that is communication skills. Because that's really what's important. You have to be able to communicate with the business that you ultimately serve in order to have a long, successful career in data science. That's the answer, right? And I know that you're probably expecting me to mention some libraries or something else, right? But really, the skill you need the most is communication. And I say that because you have to remember that when most people that are in data science, you're going to end up working for a large corporate enterprise, right? That's a fairly safe assumption. And two, you will be rated or judged by your results and your impact on the business, not the algorithms, not the impact of the algorithms, but the impact it had on the business. That's ultimately what you'll be judged by, and what will determine whether you have a long career or not, right? So it's important to develop communication skills to be able to talk to the business. Because when you talk to the business, you're not going to be talking in libraries and math formulas and Python and all this other stuff, right? That's the last thing you want to talk to them about. So developing the communication skills to talk with them and work in that way, that's the best way to go about it, or that's the best skill that you're going to need. Okay. For me personally, it has served me well to have those skills and to have that business background, because I have my undergrad degree is actually in business. It's not a technical degree. So my biggest skill has always been being able to talk to the business, understand what they need, and then turn around and talk to my teams, the people that I lead, in technical terms. Because I may be business minded and I can talk to the business, and I may be later on in my career, but I can still hold my own on the technical side, right? Like I said, I'll put up my Python skills against anybody, so having that duality to be able to talk to the business and talk to the tech teams too is a very valuable skill that you should want to develop. So like I said, Vikash, that's probably not the answer you were expecting. But if you want something, a valuable skill, that's probably the most valuable skill you can try to develop. Okay. Brohan V1 asks a good question. What is the path in data science for a newcomer, data engineering, visualization, modeling? What would a new person be assigned? Yeah, I like that question. What would a new person be assigned? And I would say that for the people that I've led and they're new, it's usually some data engineering tasks, right? Setting up the data pipelines for the team. That's probably the most common tasks that I assign people. It gets them familiar with our data. It gets them working in our code base, kind of writing code. It lets me kind of see where they're at in terms of their abilities. As far as writing code, it's usually something you can do like independently while you're still getting to meet people and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what a new person would most likely be assigned. Now, that's me. That's my approach. I've done that with multiple new people. Other teams might be different, but I'm just giving you my answer as far as how I bring on people into my team, especially if they're kind of new to working overall or new to working for a large company, right? So I hope that answer helps you. I mean, that's what I do. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should be focusing on per se, but that's just how I handle people that are new to my teams or new to data science in general. Okay. I want to become Arshad. I think that's a repeat question. Okay, that's a spam message from Twitch. I'd love to grow more on Twitch, but I get nothing but spam messages on there. Hey, Dennis, have you read the book Naked Statistics? If so, do you recommend it? I have not. I know that it's a popular book, and it's been on my my Amazon wish list or buy list for a long time. But no, I've never actually read it. If you do, let me know. I know it's popular. I've read other books. And I make book recommendations on my Instagram. In fact, I have a whole highlight section of the books that I recommend. But no, I haven't read Naked Statistics. If it's good, like I said, let me know. But no, I have never read that one. Okay. Oh, look at this question. Nobody knows. coming in strong with a Julia question. Wow. Okay, guys, give me a in the chat. Give me a 1 or a 0 if you've used Julia in the past. Just give me a quick 1 or 0 in the chat. Let me know if you've used Julia. But nobody knows is asking an excellent question. And by the way, we still have the other chat question. Let me know why Java is not popular for data science. Why is Python and R more popular? Hint, hint, it's related to Julia. Julia is the same reasons for popularity that Python and R have, okay? So give me a 1 or a 0 if you've used Julia. I'm seeing a couple of zeros already in the chat, which is not surprising. I am not surprised. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, plenty of, look at that. Look at all the zeros in the chat, guys. Okay, Julia, a 0. I've used R instead. 0 for Julia. Hey, Joseph Hernandez. Good to see you, my friend. I know you're a big supporter. Good to see you. But yeah, lots of zeros for Julia. Okay, so nobody knows. Love the question. I'm going to remember you from now on as the Julia person because nobody asks Julia questions. I like Julia. I think it's a very fun language to work in. I wish it was more widely supported. And like I said, it shares the same reason why Python and R are popular. So I got to tell you, I like the language. I would love to do more work on it, but I have met zero companies or have seen zero positions that require Julia. Everybody's using Python basically, right? So for that notion, I can only tell you that I would love to do more work in it. I just don't have the demand for it. There's just no demand. As before, when I was making a transition from software engineering to data science, I had this period in my life where I dedicated myself to learning data science, and I did that for months and months and months on end. And in that process, I did do some experimentation with Julia. As a matter of fact, I think I wrote an article on Julia. Yeah, I think I did. And one of you guys will find it. I'm sure it's out on the internet somewhere. But I even wrote an article on Julia because I do think it's an interesting language. Excuse me. But I just don't have the demand for it. I just don't see the demand at the corporate level for it. Because again, most data scientists, you're going to end up working for some large, enterprise company. But I just don't see it being demanded out there. So I love the question. I love that you're thinking that way. It's very good for data science, and because it's very fast. Julia is an extremely fast language. But I just don't see the demands. So if somebody is coming to me saying, should I learn Julia or should I learn Python? I would tell you Python every single time. There's just no demand for the Julia language. But thanks for the question. Love the question. Piyush says, hello, sir. I've completed my data science with machine learning. I didn't learn about deployment. Okay, Piyush. Yeah, you are not alone. That is a very, very common thing. And this is an opportunity for me to tell you about my book, Your First Year in Data Science. I have an entire chapter dedicated to model deployment. Because those are the things that they do not teach you in academia. And I know this, Piyush. I know you're telling the truth because I've hired people fresh out of school, fresh out of programs, and they do not have those skills. And that's why I wrote this book. So I have an entire chapter on model deployment, on working with stakeholders, on working with your team. You're going to have to learn to work within a data science team. I have it on data collection because, you don't usually have to do data collection in academic programs. So you're welcome to read my book, Your First Year in Data Science. It's on Amazon. It's available as a paperback, as an ebook, and also as an audiobook. So all three formats are available. I have tried to make the ebook affordable because I know that the book is sold worldwide and I have followers all over the world. So I have tried to put it at an affordable amount. But yeah, that's a very common thing where you don't know how to deploy a model. So that's the best resource I can direct you to, and just know that you're not alone. That's a very common issue among people who, even if you've come from a very good data science program, you're still going to lack some of those real world items that you're going to need. So that's what I would direct you to. So great question, Piyush. Uzair says, how would you suggest I learn these methodologies, and what more do you suggest me as a beginner to get good in this field? So Uzair, I also have a chapter on methodology in my book, because methodology is something you kind of have to almost take like a scientific approach to, because methodology is more about a process, right? And that's really what you're trying to learn, and you're trying to learn that away from the code, away from the keyboard, away from any individual type of algorithm or whatnot, right? You're trying to just learn it at a high level. So one of the examples I use in my book is I reference a writer by the name of Annie Duke. She wrote a really great book a couple years back called Thinking in Bets, where she talks about how you have to separate the process from the result. There are many things in your life where you got a negative result or not the result you wanted, but you still had a good process to how you reach that decision, right? And then vice versa can also happen. You can have a great result, but you had a terrible process, or in some cases a non-existent process to get there. So Uzair, that's the resource I would point you to. I have an entire chapter on methodology, And it's something that I'm really passionate about because I think that methodology is what separates the good data scientists from the not so good data scientists. And in turn, it also determines the better data science teams, right? You should have leadership in your data science team that focuses on methodology, because ultimately that's what's going to help you, down the road, right? So I hope that helps you, Uzer. Joseph says, hello, Dennis. Hope you're doing well. As we continue to do the work of a data scientist, do you have a framework that you use to ask good questions? Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on what part of your career and what part of the development process you are with the business that you're working at. Sure. But Joseph, when it comes to questions, I have two different approaches. When I'm first meeting a client, I try to intentionally ask something like, tell me about your business. And I keep it short. It's intentionally short and it's intentionally vague, because what they reply to you ultimately reflects their biases about their business. And that's important because biases is what you're trying to get rid of in data science, right? And data science is the removal of bias from your decisions, right? So when you ask somebody, tell me about your business, the first things they're going to come back to you are their biases, right? And then you can take those biases and you can turn them into a hypothesis, and then you can start the scientific process and your exploration from there, right? Because you can take their bias and say, okay, I'm going to try to prove whether you're right or wrong on this. You just told me that your customers are mostly from the East Coast of the United States, ages 30 to 45, and they're mostly female. Okay, I can test for that, right? You can come up with tests for that. You can verify that on your own. So that's usually a great way to start with questions, right? Just get their biases and then turn those into questions. And then the second thing I would tell you, Joseph, is that if you're doing, this is something that, and by the way, guys, I'm giving you like the same advice I give to my corporate clients, right? Because I have corporate clients that I work with, and consult with them. But this is the same advice I tell them, that if you're doing your data analysis properly and you're taking the time to do the EDA and, going through all that methodology, as we've been talking before, questions lead to more questions, right? Good EDA, good analytics will kind of like reveal the questions for you. Like you should be in your EDA process, and throughout that process, like the questions will just kind of like appear, right? They will appear in the sense of, oh wow, most of our sales happen at night. When did that start happening? Or why is that, right? Well, why are most of your sales at night, right? Or, you might start looking at EDA with a new focus on seasonality, right? Well, why are most of our sales happening in the summer and not in the fall? So if you're doing your EDA right, those questions should come up. Like at some point, Joseph, like you shouldn't even have to ask them. Like the data will like surface these questions that will come up. And a lot of them will also be with biases, right? Because coming back to my previous example, you might come up where you can tell the business and go back to them and say, you thought that most of your sales were to people ages 30 to 45, but we're seeing a new trend here, and that trend started 3 months ago because we also did a time series analysis on, right? Like it just kind of like one question leads to another, right? So that's my view on questions, and it served me well in my career because it's also a good indicator that you're on the right track, right? Like your process is on the right track. So I hope that helps you, Joseph. Okay. Palki says, difference between data scientist and machine learning engineer. Some say data science develop models, ML engineer deploy those, and some say ML engineer DevOps and deploy model. I appreciate what you're doing there, Palki, but try to not get too caught up in those definitions, right? Because again, it's about the methodology, and you're going to be doing all these roles anyways, right? Like you're basically never working on a team that's large enough where you're going to say, well, all I do is develop models and that's it. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I just develop models, period. Don't ask me to do anything else. I'm just a model developer. Like, there's no teams out there that are doing that because they're so small, right? Like, you won't have that ability to do that. Or, or just to be somebody who deploys models, right? All I do is deploy models every single day. That's not realistic. The teams are just not that segmented. It just doesn't happen that way, right? So don't get too caught up in the in the stuff you hear by the YouTube influencers and things like that. Because if somebody is out there telling me that, then they're telling me that they've never actually worked on a data science team. Because in the real world, the teams are small. You're going to be asked to be flexible. You're gonna be using a variety of skills on an everyday basis. But yeah, so I encourage you to try to not get too caught up in that. Okay, so Deadlord is going to take a stab at our Java question. So remember, guys, if you're joining us, that's okay. If you're joining us late, that's okay. Our question for the chat for the day is, why is Java not popular for data science? Java is like the most popular language in the world. I guarantee you there's 10 things in your life right now that run Java. But nobody uses it for data science. Why? So Deadlord is saying maybe because our libraries are in Python and not in Java. Yeah, Deadlord, I hear that answer a lot. But that's what I would call a level 1 answer, right? Because, yeah, there is the library support, and that's what people say. But why? Those libraries didn't write themselves. People wrote them that way, right? Python didn't fall out of the sky. Python was designed this way. So why? What is it about them that makes them different? Okay. So give me another give another try at it, Deadlord, because I like the question. But just give me a little more. Go a little bit deeper, okay? Waris Hussein says, most data science programming is imperative, and I think an interpreted language like Python is suitable, unlike Java, where it's compiled and OOPS is there, even in the smallest part of the code. Okay, Waris Hussein, I appreciate the effort, but Python can be object-oriented too. Right? Python, it just kind of happens to be used a lot as a script language, but you can do object-oriented programming in Python. In fact, the more advanced you get in your career, the more you do object-oriented programming. All right? And if you guys want more information on that or don't know what I mean by that, go look at how you do multi-threading in Python. I mean, I have yet to see anybody who can show me that they did multi-threading without using an object-oriented approach. You're not going to do multi-threading with scripts alone, right? So you can do it. You can do it object-oriented programming in Python. Compiled versus interpreted, I hear that a lot. I hear that as a common answer to this question. But the way the reason that answer fails, though, is because compiled languages are faster. Interpreted languages are slower, right? Java is a pretty fast language because it's compiled. And there's the JVM and all that other stuff, right? But I would disagree that's part of the reason, right? You would kind of want your data science language to be compiled, but Python is not. So I love the effort there, Waris Hussein, but give me a second shot at it. And if anybody else wants to join in, feel free to go ahead and put in your answer in the chat. Why is Java not popular for data science? And by the way, I have posted this answer. In fact, I made a whole video as an answer on my YouTube if you guys want to go find it, if you can't wait for the answer or for the model answer. But if you want to give it a shot, let me know why Java is not popular for data science. There are reasons for it, okay? So Voldemort Gaming says, hey, sir, I have completed my data science with machine learning and also completed some projects on it. I didn't learn about deployment. Wait, this is a repeat. Isn't it? Yeah, Piyush, is that, I think it's the same person. Guys, I promise you that if you post the question, it's in my queue and I will get to it. As you can see, there's a lot of questions coming, so it takes me time to get through them. But please don't repost the questions on different platforms. I promise you it's on my screen. I'm going to do my best to get to it. But, the multiple questions kind of clog up the chat. So please, Just one time, okay? Karthug says, "Hi Dennis, I'm Karthik. Welcome Karthik. I have 14 years of IT experience. Great, wonderful. Out of which I have 7 years into integration tooled web methods. Can you please suggest me a roadmap and how I could utilize my past experience?" Yeah, sure. So the roadmap that I have on my YouTube, Data Science Roadmap for Students, is still valid for somebody like you that wants to make a career change, so you're still kind of new to data science in general, maybe not new in your career. So if I was in your position, I would take the time to learn data science, right? We're not just trying to pass interviews, we're trying to dedicate ourselves to the profession. But where you're going to find that your experience helps you is going to be on the deployment side, because a well-executed algorithm towards its end, towards like the final stages of its development, starts to look a lot like a library that is used in any number of programming projects or languages, right? Like after a while, the algorithm starts to behave just like a library, right? And it's often packaged up as a library, or it should be, right? If you're doing things right. So that's where I would say that your skills are going to help you. If you can talk to teams and say, well, I may still be developing my data science skills, but I'm pretty good at being able to integrate libraries into a deployment package, and maybe you're good at maintenance, or maybe you're good at localization. I don't know, right? Take your pick. But that's where I would think that your skills would help you to be able to say that I can't maybe help on the development side, but I can help on the deployment side because I understand how you deploy libraries. That's a valid approach to getting a job, or to kind of finding your way into the data science world. Okay, so glad to have you here. Real Slim Shadi, welcome. Good to see you. I know you've participated in the chats before, so welcome. Dennis, I started a data science program at MIT after finishing my master's in Sydney. What might your suggestions be for making the most of my program? Did you send me something on LinkedIn? I think I have somebody from MIT in my LinkedIn. What might your suggestions be for making the most of my program? Well, look, at a place like MIT, you're going to be just fine on the technical side. So for me, my advice to you would be to start working on the soft skills side, because that's really what you're going to need coming out of a program like that. So I mentioned communication earlier. Work on your communication, work on your writing skills, work on your business skills to be able to understand business problems. And really just kind of learn how to be able to communicate with stakeholders without using code and math and programming terms, right? So that's going to be, I think, your biggest challenge. You're going to be technically sound, but you still need to talk to people. You still need to be able to sketch out projects and sketch out business requirements, and you need to be able to measure the impact, right? So that's what I would be working on your own. And I say on your own because you're probably going to kind of not have a lot of exposure to this in your program. So that's what I would advise to you, okay? If you have any more questions, let me know in the chat. Let me know if you were the same person on LinkedIn, because I have a couple of people from MIT on my LinkedIn. Ayahu says, "Can you put the link in bio?" It is in my bio. You can be linked to both my my book on Amazon and my YouTube channel via the links that are available on Instagram. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ayu. I think I saw you here yesterday, so welcome back. Please share your Discord link. The Discord link is in also on my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram stories, I actually just reposted it this morning, so it should be my top story. But I have a story there where I have a link directly to the Discord. Sign up. It has it to my Discord server. If you're already a Discord member, it'll put you in automatically, and you can join in. We've actually had a couple people join just during this chat, just during this live stream. So glad to have all of you there. Jeremiah says, "Thank you very much, Dennis." Well, I hope that helps. And look, guys, I'm just here sharing my experience, right? Feel free to disagree with me. I'm just giving you my view from from the many years in the industry, and I've led a lot of teams. I've hired a lot of people. I've read a lot of resumes. So I'm just here sharing my experience. So Uzair says, I also have a question regarding the future of data science. I'm interested in DS, but some seniors and relatives are telling me that there aren't many data science jobs, limiting my opportunities. Is that true? Is the data science field saturated already? So I would disagree. I disagree with the saturation. I think that the field of data science is changing, and AI will certainly have an impact on it. I'm talking about like the AI tools. But you as an individual are still going to be in demand. You're going to have to develop different skills. You're going to have to kind of, roll with the punches throughout your career. But yeah, I think that there's reasons to be optimistic for the future of data science. So on my Sunday classes, where I'm teaching the Introduction to Statistical Learning book, my special addition to build on their work is to teach the class using ChatGPT tools. I'm not advocating writing code on our own. We're going to have ChatGPT write the code for us. And I'm doing that because to me, that is the future of data science. In the future, you will not write code. You will supervise the algorithms that write the code, right? So the time to prepare for that is now, because it's coming. Whether you want it to or not, it's coming, and it's coming soon. It's coming within the next couple of years here, right? So that's why I'm teaching the class in that way. But guess what? The algorithm still makes mistakes. And we saw that in the class on Sunday. We had the algorithm make a very basic mistake in the code it gave us. So the way you're going to be doing work as a data scientist is going to be different, but you're still going to be needed. There's still going to be a demand for jobs out there. So stay positive. It can feel like the market is saturated. It can feel like, interviews are hard to come by, but stay positive. Keep on doing the work of a data scientist. Keep on doing your own study, your own research, your own data, and that's going to help you, right? As I've said before, the best way to become a data scientist and to, land the job is to be a data scientist. Go out and do the work on your own. There's nothing stopping you from doing your own data and your own explorations, right? But I would disagree with the people that are telling you that. I think that the roles are changing, but it's up to you to stay prepared. And really that's going to happen to you guys in any career that you choose, right? Change is not unique to the world of data science. Oversaturation is not unique to data science. You might choose another field where you'll run into the same problems, and you're still going to have to work hard and keep up with your skills and roll with the punches, maybe define your role a little bit differently. But this is also why it's important to follow your passion and follow your mastery, or create your mastery with your passion, right? Because that's what's going to get you through those times and help you make those changes, right? Otherwise, you're just jumping from job to job, and you're risking falling behind because you don't have the skills to keep up with what's new, right? But yeah, so I hope that helps you, okay? Jeremiah says, I'm Jeremiah from Instagram. I just subscribed to your YouTube and I'll be watching your videos tomorrow. Thank you very much. Oh, well, thank you so much, Jeremiah. I appreciate that. Yeah, and if you guys go to my YouTube, I have a lot of really exciting stuff coming up. I have so much good content coming up for August. So what I'm doing, this is a good pause for me to be able to tell you this, guys. So what I'm doing is I have a long career working with a lot of really cool, really interesting people. And I've called upon them. And I've called in some old favors. I've been working the phone, and I said, "Hey, would you like to come on to my live stream and meet some of my community, or would you like to record some content with me?" And I've had a couple people. I'm still working on a couple others, but so far I have 3 different interviews coming up for you guys. I recorded an interview. He was too shy for live stream, so we're going to do a recorded. I recorded an interview with one of my data science executive friends. We worked together for a few years. Next Thursday, August 1st, I'm going to bring you guys a bank and audit analytics executive. He's going to do a live stream. We did a tech test earlier this morning. He's going to do a live stream, going to come on, and he's going to take all of your questions just like I do. And then August 15th, I have a wealth management executive, Laura Sell. Her and I worked together for a few years. And she's a wealth management executive with a lot of tech background to her. So she's going to come on a live stream also. So I'm really looking forward to that content. I've already posted the thumbnails up on YouTube. So you can go there, you can click the notify button so that YouTube notifies you when those sessions are coming up. I'm also doing the live classes on YouTube. So yeah, if you go to YouTube, go ahead and click on subscribe, click on the notify, and you'll get that, because I have some really cool content coming up in August. Some really cool people coming on board. I'm so humbled that they were able to say yes, and they're going to come in and meet you guys, and they're doing Ask Me Anything. So bring your questions. They're willing to do it, and they're willing to answer whatever you guys bring. So I think it'll be nice to have that. Okay, so let's keep going with the questions. I'm probably only going to stream for another few more minutes here, guys. Okay, but I'm going to try to get as many questions as I can. Is data science growing in the European market? Yeah, I think it's growing in most markets, right? I mean, the majority, there are no industries out there that won't be using data science, right? They'll be using it in different ways and with different techniques and different focuses, but everybody will be using data science at some point, right? In all regions, all industries. So yeah, I think it's growing in every market, right? So stay optimistic, guys. Wow. All of these zeros in the chats for Julia. No love for Julia, guys. So who was it? I think it was, who asked that question on the Julia side? I'm scrolling up in my chat. Nobody knows us. Yeah, nobody knows us. Asking an excellent question. But I'm sorry, my friend, there's no love. Amanda McDermott, welcome to the stream. Karthik 17, not even heard of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Amanda also says ditto to using R. Yeah. We'll come back to that one, Amanda. But Karthik says, not even heard of Julia. Karthik, you are probably not alone. I think people maybe don't want to say it, like, what's Julia? I've never heard of Julia. But yeah, I mean, there's some people who've never even heard of it, and I hate to say that because, again, I like it. I've done a little work in it. It's very fast, right? There's plenty of benchmarks out there that will show you that Julia is in some cases a superior fast language. Like it's really fast. But there's just no demand. There's just no demand for Julia. Not that I've seen. I mean, I'm sure that, there's like some specialized labs or think tanks out there that use Julia or something like that. But like on a broad basis, Karthug, nobody is saying it, but I'm sure you're not alone. And Amanda adds, ditto to using R. Yeah, I mean, R is definitely decreasing demand is what I would say, at least at the corporate and enterprise level. I know, before anybody gets mad, I know that R has a long history in research and academic world, and it will continue to serve those worlds, right? But on a broad basis, yeah, I mean, R is definitely on the decline. It pains me to say that, guys, and it pains me to say that because I did most of my graduate studies in R, and I've used R quite a bit. I'll tell you a secret. I even spoke at an R conference. You guys can find it online. All the online detectives will find it. I spoke at an R conference in 2017. I looked it up. It was in May of 2017. But I like R. I've done a lot of work in R, but it's really hard to use at the corporate level, right? So yeah, so that's just where we're at with the languages. But yeah, a good question though. Nobody knows us. I appreciate that. I'm going to remember you as my Julia person, but great question there. Okay, guys, so I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here, but really appreciate this time that we spent together. I'm going to be streaming every day, so if I didn't get to your question or you come up with other questions, feel free to come back. Feel free to join our Discord. Our Discord is available. Also, feel free to look up my book on Amazon, Your First Year in Data Science. It's available for sale now. I've worked hard to bring you a quality product, so hopefully you'll enjoy the colored charts and graphs inside. I've also made the Kindle edition affordable, so you can consider that also. But really appreciate the time, guys. Look forward to more streaming with you tomorrow. And hopefully you can take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.